In the grand narrative of World War I, we often hear about Gallipoli, the Somme, and but what if I told you there was a pivotal battle, a stunning victory for the Ottoman Empire, that has been almost completely erased from our history books, a battle that saw seasoned British and Indian troops utterly routed, a battle that could have changed the course of the war in the Middle East. This is the story of the forgotten Ottoman victory at Karachok in 1915. To understand what happened at Karachok, we need to travel to Mesopotamia, modern-day Iraq. By early 1915, British and Indian forces, known as Indian Expeditionary Force D, had successfully captured the city of Bussorah. Their primary mission was to protect the Anglo-Persian oil fields, which were vital for fueling the Royal Navy. But with easy victories came growing ambition. The British commander, General Sir John Nixon, saw an opportunity to push further north, all the way to Baghdad. The on-to-Baghdad fever was intoxicating, a glorious prize that seemed just within reach. The main British force, the 6th Poona Division, under Major General Charles Townshend, began its relentless advance up the Tigris River. They were a formidable fighting force, battle-hardened and confident. The Ottoman armies they faced were often poorly supplied and demoralized, leading to a string of British successes at Kuna, Amara, and Nasir. Each victory fueled the belief that Baghdad was theirs for the taking, but the Ottomans were not a spent force. A new commander was on his way, a man who would dramatically turn the tables. His name was Colmar Freiherr von der Goltz, a German field marshal assigned to the Ottoman army. He was a brilliant strategist, but he wasn't there yet. The Ottoman forces in the region were under the command of Nuruddin Pasha. Seeing the relentless British advance, Nuruddin knew he had to make a stand. He chose a strategic position near Ctesiphon, the site of an ancient Persian capital, just south of Baghdad. This would be the decisive battle for the city. While Nuruddin prepared his main defense at Ctesiphon, a smaller, less-known drama was unfolding to the east, along the Dizala River. This is where a story truly begins, in a place called Karachok. The British, in their push towards Baghdad, needed to secure their flanks. A separate column, composed mainly of Indian cavalry and infantry, was sent to clear out Ottoman positions along the Diyala River. Their mission was to prevent any Ottoman forces from threatening Townshend's main line of advance. The commander of this column was confident, perhaps overconfident. Their intelligence suggested only a small, token Ottoman force was in the area. They were wrong. Dangerously wrong. Waiting for them at Karachok was the Ottoman 38th Division. This wasn't some ragtag militia. It was a full-strength division, well-begun, and commanded by officers who knew the terrain like the back of their hands. They had prepared a trap. They allowed the British Indian vanguard to advance deep into their lines, crossing the river and moving into a seemingly undefended valley. The British commanders thought they were chasing a fleeing enemy. Then, on a cold November morning in 1915, the trap was sprung. Ottoman artillery, cleverly concealed on the high ground, opened up with a deafening roar. Machine guns, positioned in crossfire arcs, raked the valley from all sides. The British and Indian troops were caught completely in the open. What was supposed to be a simple clearing operation turned into a slaughter. The cavalry, unable to maneuver in the broken terrain and under intense fire, was decimated. The infantry, pinned down with no cover, fought bravely but stood no chance. The Ottoman soldiers charged from their trenches. The fighting was brutal, often hand-to-hand. The well-disciplined British Indian force, which had known nothing but victory for months, completely broke. It was a total rout. Men abandoned their weapons, their equipment, their wounded comrades, and fled for their lives back across the river. The retreat was as chaotic and deadly as the initial ambush. Many drowned, trying to swim the fast-flowing Dizala River under a hail of bullets. The Ottoman victory at Karachok was absolute and overwhelming. They had not just defeated the enemy column, they had annihilated it. They captured vast quantities of weapons, ammunition, and supply. More importantly, they captured British soldiers, a huge blow to British prestige and a massive morale boost for the Ottoman troops. The news of this stunning victory spread like wildfire through the Ottoman ranks. Just in time for the main event at just days after the Karachok disaster. General Townshend's main force clashed with Nureddin Pasha's army at the Battle of Ctesiphon. The battle was a bloody stalemate. Townshend's men, though they fought with incredible courage, were exhausted from their long advance and took heavy casualties. Nureddin's forces, bolstered by the news from Karachok, fought with a newfound ferocity. Although Townshend initially claimed a tactical victory, he knew he couldn't hold the position or advance further. His supply lines were stretched thin, and his casualties were too high. The ghost of Karachok loomed large. He couldn't risk his flank being attacked by the victorious Ottoman forces from the Caucasus Front. The decision was made to retreat. This retreat would become one of the most grueling and infamous episodes of the war in the Middle East. Harassed constantly by the pursuing Ottomans, Townshend's weary and battered division fell back down the Tigris River until they reached the town of Katalamara. There, they were surrounded, and the infamous siege of Kut began. After 147 days of starvation and suffering, Townshend surrendered his entire force in April 1916. It was the single largest surrender of British troops between the American Revolution and the fall of Singapore in World War II. So why has the victory at Karachok been forgotten? There are several reasons. First, the British military was deeply embarrassed by the defeat. A story of a small column being wiped out due to poor intelligence and overconfidence did unfit the heroic narrative they wanted to project. Official reports downplayed the scale of the disaster, often referring to it as a minor skirmish or a reconnaissance in force gone wrong. It was buried in the footnotes of history, overshadowed by the larger dramas of Ctesiphon and the siege of Kut. Second, from the Ottoman and later Turkish perspective, Karachok was just one part of a larger, more significant campaign. The successful defense of Baghdad and the eventual capture of an entire British division at Kut were far greater strategic achievements. The victory at Kut became a source of immense national pride, celebrated for decades, while the preliminary success at Karachok faded into the background. Finally, the grand scale of World War I itself played a role, with millions fighting and dying on the Western Front. A battle in a remote corner of Mesopotamia involving a few thousand men simply did unregister on the world stage. History tends to remember the biggest battles, the major turning points, and the stories that fit a clear narrative. The messy, complicated, and embarrassing defeat at Karachok simply didn't make the cut, but we shouldn't let it be forgotten. The Battle of Karachok is a crucial piece of the puzzle. It was the first sign that the Baghdad campaign was not going to be the cakewalk. The British expected it was a huge morale booster for the Ottoman army, proving they could decisively defeat the supposedly superior British Indian forces. It directly influenced Townshend's decision to retreat from Ctesiphon, leading directly to the disaster at Kut. It was the beginning of the end for Britain's first Mesopotamian campaign. This forgotten battle serves as a powerful reminder that history is often written by the victors, and inconvenient truths are often swept under the rug. It shows us the importance of looking beyond the headline battles to find the hidden stories that truly shape the course of events. The brave Ottoman soldiers who fought and won at Karachok deserve to have their story told. They achieved a stunning tactical victory against a formidable foe, a victory that had profound strategic consequences. Thank you for joining me on this journey back in time to uncover a forgotten chapter of the First World War. If you found this story fascinating, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the hidden corners of history. Let me know in the comments what other forgotten battles you'd like to see covered. Thanks for watching.